Putin has zeroed in on Ukraine's state-owned gas giant, Naftogaz, with 13 drone and missile strikes in just 7 days, turning energy infrastructure into a major new battlefield ahead of winter. Naftogaz sites across several Ukrainian regions have suffered heavy blows as Russian missile and drone barrages intensify, damaging equipment and forcing parts of the country's gas production offline. With 293 reported assaults on Naftogaz facilities since the start of 2026 and 37 filling stations destroyed in 7 months, Moscow appears to be escalating pressure on Ukraine's energy lifeline before the cold season. The attacks come after Ukraine unleashed an 822 drone storm against Russia, raising the prospect that Moscow is widening its retaliatory campaign while seeking to leave Ukrainians facing blackouts, fuel shortages, and cold homes. Russia struck Ukraine's state-owned Naftogaz facilities 13 times over the past week, stepping up attacks on the country's vital gas infrastructure. Drones and missiles damaged gas infrastructure across several Ukrainian regions, according to reports on the latest Russian barrage. Naftogaz said the strikes damaged equipment and cut part of its gas output, affecting domestic production capacity. The attacks come as Russia intensifies its campaign ahead of winter, when Ukraine needs reliable gas supplies for heating. Naftogaz has now counted 293 strikes on its facilities since the start of 2026, showing the scale of Russia's sustained campaign. Russia destroyed 37 Naftogaz sites during the first 7 months of 2026, according to reports on the damage to the company's network. Ukraine's energy network has faced heavier Russian attacks with each winter, when damage to essential services can have the greatest impact. Russia hit Ukraine's energy sites more than 600 times during 2025, according to the available data. Moscow's previous campaign damaged or destroyed about 80% of Ukraine's power infrastructure, placing the electricity system under severe pressure. After failing to completely cripple Ukraine's energy grid, Russia is now reportedly eyeing Ukraine's water systems as another target. Kyiv is set to enter the coming winter with fewer air defense missiles available to protect critical infrastructure from Russian strikes. Russia's energy war threatens another winter of blackouts, cold homes, and rationing for millions of Ukrainians. Russian Ministry of Defense on August 16 said its air defenses had intercepted and destroyed 822 Ukrainian drones during a massive overnight attack. Rostov governor said 5 people were killed in a residential area during a Ukrainian drone attack on August 16. A separate Ukrainian drone strike killed another person in Russia's Belgorod region, according to local officials. Moscow region governor said 187 Ukrainian drones had been shot down or neutralized over the region during the attack. A wild berries warehouse was reportedly hit, while a separate drone strike killed an 83-year-old man in the region. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin said around 600 Ukrainian drones had targeted the capital during the large-scale attack. Moscow condemned the attacks as terrorist attacks, accusing Ukraine of deliberately targeting and killing Russian civilians. Russia responded with missile and drone strikes on Kyiv, with Ukrainian President Zelensky saying 6 people were wounded in the attacks. Volodymyr Zelensky said, and I quote, "Emergency services are working at the sites of the Russian strikes that took place this morning and last night. In Kyiv, the fires were quickly extinguished, and emergency work is now ongoing. The Russians injured 6 people in the city and the region. Kremenchuk and Kryvyi Rih were also hit with ballistic missiles. Wherever the Russians can reach with their ballistic missiles, they strike civilian infrastructure. In Kryvyi Rih, 2 people were killed and 14 others were injured. 1 person was killed in Sumy. The enemy launched more than 1,550 attack drones, nearly 1,560 guided aerial bombs, and 62 missiles at our cities and communities, most of them ballistic missiles of various types. It is very important that this dedication of our people be complemented by new steps from our partners to protect the skies. When North Korean ballistic missiles destroy infrastructure and claim lives here in Europe, European interceptors cannot simply be allowed to sit in storage. Lives need to be protected. Russia must be stopped. New packages literally mean lives saved and infrastructure protected every single day. I thank every partner who is helping with this." Unquote. Amid rising tensions on the Korean peninsula, North Korea's latest ballistic missile launches are causing concern in Seoul, Tokyo, and Washington, particularly because the tests came ahead of major US-South Korea drills. Within less than a week in August, North Korea fired 2 ballistic missiles from the Wonsan area, but state media did not acknowledge either launch, an unusual departure from Pyongyang's normal pattern. Analysts have focused on Pyongyang's reluctance to publicize the launches, noting that North Korea often turns successful missile tests into major propaganda events for domestic and international audiences. Pyongyang is usually quick to publicize tests it considers important, successful, or politically useful, especially when it wants to demonstrate a new capability or send a direct warning to rivals. North Korean state media frequently releases images of Kim Jong-un overseeing launches, along with photographs, technical details, and claims about missile performance, but none of that appeared after these tests. Such coverage helps North Korea demonstrate military strength to the United States, South Korea, and Japan, while also presenting Kim Jong-un as personally directing the country's expanding strategic arsenal. The unusual launches come as North Korea deepens military cooperation with Russia, providing troops, ammunition, and missile systems that Moscow has used in its war against Ukraine. One explanation for North Korea's silence is that it may be quietly testing refinements based on battlefield feedback from Ukraine, where Russian forces have used North Korean-made missiles against Ukrainian targets. If Pyongyang is using Ukraine war lessons to enhance accuracy, reliability, or survivability, the consequences could extend beyond East Asia by making Russian attacks on Europe facing Ukraine more dangerous. However, there is currently no clear evidence linking the latest launches directly to weapons intended for Russia, so claims of an imminent new missile shipment should be treated as analysis, not confirmed fact. Another possible explanation is that the tests failed to meet expected performance standards, though the lack of public disclosure alone cannot prove a malfunction or unsuccessful launch. Experts quoted by the Independent caution that Pyongyang's silence should not automatically be interpreted as failure, because North Korea does not publicly disclose every weapons activity it carries out. Analysts note that North Korea keeps some military tests secret for operational security reasons, particularly when evaluating improvements that offer little propaganda value or reveal sensitive capabilities. The latest launches may have involved a modified KN-23 or Hwasong-11 variant, but no official identification has been released and the exact missile system remains uncertain. If North Korea is producing ballistic missiles in greater numbers for its own forces or possible export, it would need frequent testing to ensure the weapons meet reliability, accuracy, and performance standards. Experts say routine quality control or modification tests carry less propaganda value than unveiling an entirely new weapon, which may explain why Pyongyang chose not to release its customary dramatic footage. A clearer pattern across future launches, flight paths, and launch sites may help analysts determine whether North Korea is testing a new system, improving an existing missile, or conducting standard production checks. Ukrainian officials say that during the July 30th attack, Russia launched two North Korean-made KN-23 short-range ballistic missiles toward Kryvyi Rih, marking one of the clearest uses yet of Pyongyang's rockets in this conflict. Both missiles were fired toward the Kryvyi Rih district and together caused widespread damage and civilian casualties, turning a residential area in Zelensky's home region into a tragic showcase of foreign-supplied firepower. These developments were publicly reported by Vladislav Lasiuk, the president of Ukraine's representative for sanctions policy, underscoring how missile use and sanctions work have now become tightly linked. According to Ukrainian authorities, the first missile struck a private house in Raduzhn, killing 6 people, including children, and injuring at least 9 more, a devastating hit on a single-family home. Investigators later found the crater from the second KN-23 impact in a field roughly 3.5 kilometers from the first strike site, with officials noting there were no military targets within 5 kilometers, highlighting both the inaccuracy and the indiscriminate nature of the attack.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.